Hey, I'm Super Fizz. Today is February 16th, 2021, and this is State of the Stake 39. State of the Stake is brought to you by the ETH Staker community. I am Super Fizz, and I create a lot of the content, and my friend Michael from Untitled creates the post-production, so thanks to him for that. Today's State of the Stake, I want to talk about a lot of things. I'm really excited to get to a lot of this. Vitalik wrote a HackMD article recently talking about hard fork 1 for the beacon chain. And this was a planned hard fork. It's scheduled for sometime this summer, so look for it in May or June. And it has 3 things that are going to be interesting to most users. The first thing is going to be light client support. You can find that in the ETH2 spec, pull request 1203. And light client support basically means that beacon chain clients, some of them will be selected to produce information that is consumable for light clients like phones and other devices. And so the neat concept behind this is that as we move forward with Ethereum 2, people will be able to use Ethereum on light devices like phones without needing to download the entire chain. So that's really exciting. One of the other planned changes is that penalties in the first 6 months of the beacon chain were reduced because everyone knew that people would need time to get settled in. Slashes were anticipated, and obviously we hoped they wouldn't happen, but there have been quite a few slashings. I could say quite a few, about 100 slashings on mainnet, almost all of which are attributed to misconfigured pools, and a few of which have been attributed to miners at home who tried redundant setups and found out that redundant setups, meaning running your validator keys in 2 places, will cause you to get slashed. But people are figuring that out, and it has been, wow, almost a few days since we've had any slashings. In June or May, when this first hard fork is released, the penalties for those slashings will increase. And the third and final reason, well, it's not the final reason, there are a bunch of smaller other things going on. A third reason for the hard fork is to just actually test the hard fork tooling so that clients, that being Nimbus, Teku, Prism, and Lighthouse, are ready to do those hard forks. And it's sort of a test maneuver while we're still getting the beacon chain ready for the merge and sharding. And so one of the interesting things that I've heard someone refer to as a bike shedding shitstorm, I don't know, it was a great term, is the naming of the first hard fork. This is for the community, for us. This is the big important thing. Like, forget all of the neat features. Who really needs, light clients, and who needs to test hard forks? What we really care about is the name. And if you look at the pull requests for this, you'll see a lot of fun and snarky and unusual naming convention suggestions for this hard fork. And as funny as it is, I do think it's something we should get right. And at the end of the day, it's not a big deal. It is just a bike shed conversation for fun. So in awesome big news today, PR 2149, which is the pull request to include smart contract withdrawals from ETH2, has been passed, which is something many of us have been waiting for like months. And Danny Ryan proposed it. It's been reviewed and worked through, and it just got some final checkoffs today. And this will allow trustless and decentralized pools, basically pools that are based on smart contracts, to operate without any real assumptions. So the big picture here is, if I send my Ether to a well-vetted and well-known smart contract for staking, when staking is over, I have some guarantee that my funds will then be withdrawn to the smart contract for correct distribution. This really limits the opportunity for any pool to disappear with funds, and it really cuts down on mismanagement, because we know that tools that run on smart contracts are far more predictable than tools that are managed by people. And when I say predictable, it doesn't mean that they're going to operate correctly. So there's still that risk of needing to make sure that any pools that work based on smart contracts are well vetted and thoroughly checked out before you participate in them. But it does open up this great potential for really secure smart pools, and I really look forward to that. Rocket Pool is the pool right now that is leading the charge toward decentralized and trustless staking using smart contracts. They will be the primary beneficiary of pull request 2149. I was reading today on their Discord that a user has created Rocket Pool socks and will be distributing those to Discord users as an ERC20 token, or maybe they're ERC 721, that are similar to, if you remember, the Uniswap socks that are now very sought after. So I'm really looking forward to getting my Rocket Pool socks, and just as kind of a fun novelty. So yeah, that's just the thing. Lighthouse released version 1.1.1, and it has been about 4 weeks since their latest update. This update is supposed to correct some block propagation times. I don't spend a lot of time comparing the payouts between different clients because in the big picture they're all relatively similar. Payouts between the 4 main clients are going to be pretty consistent. There are very minute differences, but at the end of the day, the thing that is most important is client diversity. And so if you're choosing a client, you really should begin with client diversity in mind and not with thinking which pool is going to have the highest payout, because within like 99% they're the same, and the benefit that you add to the network by decentralizing is greater than that 1% offers. I'd like to tell you about a community call with Teku coming up February 20th at 8 p.m. UTC with the ETH Staker team and Ben and Adrian from Teku. Now, if you don't know these guys, they are, gosh, I don't know how to describe them. They are some of my favorite people in the entire space for about 2 reasons. They're very personable, very easy to talk to, very genuine, and I don't mean to lump them together, but they have some of these similar characteristics that just make me like both of them. They're really easy to get along with, and they can describe these really complex concepts in a way that normal people understand. So I've enjoyed all of the time that I've spent with both Ben and Adrian, and I'm glad that they're both going to join us for this ETHStaker call. You can learn more about that call at ethstakers.cc, and there's also an opportunity for you to leave questions that we'll ask during the call. We always debate whether or not we can open up the call to the community. With Zoom being all the rage, we've had a few incidents, and it's just not our favorite thing to go through those. But as much as we're able, we do want to include the community, and one of the best ways for everyone to be involved is to submit questions at ethstaker.cc. You'll also be able to join us on the Zoom, and we will have a POAP available to everyone that participates with us on Zoom, and it'll be put up on YouTube afterwards. And finally, we're looking forward to some big news from the Ethereum Due Diligence Committee. We've had a site in development for several weeks now. We've been vetting products, we've been onboarding, and kind of setting the norms for the Due Diligence Committee, which, if you've ever run this kind of group, you know it takes a long time to set up. I'd like to send a huge shout out to Madison Asher, who has just done just great and ongoing work with managing that team and just building that consistency and predictability that this kind of committee really needs. We have a lot of people who are contributing in various ways. A shout out to Phil, who is doing a lot of the due diligence. And so we could benefit there from people who have a technical background, who are willing to dig deeply into these pools, and to help us decide which, basically how to evaluate them thoroughly. And if I can back up here a lot, like, you hear me talking about Rocket Pool a lot because it is a trustless, decentralized option. There are a lot of pools that are run by companies, private industry, groups of people, even friends, who have fantastic offerings. I don't intend to suggest that Rocket Pool is right for everyone. What I intend is to promote is this wide environment of healthy pools that all contribute to the ecosystem. What the EDDC does is tries to identify what pools are generally good, and then also to point out what pools we might need to stay away from. And that's sort of something that is difficult to work out because we're not here to step on anyone's toes, but it is important that we call things what they are. And one of the things we're going to need to talk about in the future is when a staking pool is slashed multiple times, how does the EDDC respond to that? How should the community regard that? And I really look forward to getting deeper into that. So yeah, I'm having a great time watching the Beacon chain develop. It's so awesome that the chain is so stable and we have such a rich and vibrant community. So much to look forward to, and I'm glad to be on the journey with you. So thanks again for all of your time. I'm glad to be on this journey. If you have any ideas or suggestions for things I ought to talk about, please shoot me a message, and we'll keep this thing going. Take care. Thank you for your time. Bye.